All right, everybody, it's the Jere Metcalf podcast where top real estate agents tell how they do it. And today we have an awesome guest, of course, Alison Melton, and she is from an inn. She's actually in and does business in Bluffton and Hilton Head in South Carolina, and she's with Charter One Realty. Alison, so good to see you and have you today. Thank you for coming.
For having me, Jerry.
So tell us a little bit about you. I mean, I've heard enough about you. Jared Randolph introduced us, and I've heard about how incredible you are at positioning and marketing properties. You've taken properties with no interest and turned them into an event and sold them for top dollar, among many other things. But that being said, tell us a little bit about where you are now, and then we'll walk through your career.
Sure. Well, I am privileged to be with Charter One Realty here in the Lowcountry, which we serve everything basically Hilton Head, Bluffton, Defusky to Beaufort, South Carolina. What we've seen, as everyone else has, this has been an unprecedented year and a half, especially in the Southeast, which a lot of us are operating in these markets,
Yeah,
as we've seen the migration from the Northeast, Midwest, and even West Coast. We've had a lot of California buyers here recently.
exactly. It's insanity.
So I run a team under the Melton Group. And one thing interesting about us, we are an all-female team here in the area,
Oh,
which
wow.
to have three basically working mothers who are juggling everything. And I think that's what gives us an edge as well, that we all have professional backgrounds and are able to attempt to do it all.
I love that. Well, think about all the moms and the stress of moving and the way you can relate to your clients, I bet, incredibly well.
Yes, especially all of us having children in the schools down here. That's the biggest question, is a lot of families have relocated to the area, especially
Yeah.
during COVID, as our schools opened up last August and, went the full year without really any blips. Same thing this year. So a lot of our, clients that have moved down from other states where the kids were still in virtual or hybrid learning earlier on last year or throughout last year, they have found
Yeah.
to, be a great escape.
Well, it's interesting. Everybody spent a lot of time coming to our markets to live because they couldn't go to school where they were. And to that, just to put this into context for everybody, we're talking right now in September of 2021. So the last, I mean, has it been a year and a half, almost 2 years? It's a year and a half now since the first, like, really like, hey, don't leave your house quarantine that occurred back in 2019.
Yep.
So,
2020, it was when it all
yeah,
started. And then
yeah. Well,
is it
yeah, it was 2020. Thank you. It was 19 that it kind of, but it's because COVID-19, but it was 2020 that I think it was February or March. So tell us a little bit about, you're obviously a top luxury agent in Bluffton, Bluffton and Hilton Head of South Carolina with a top brokerage. How it, and you came here from New York City, by the way, where everybody else is coming from now.
did. As I said, we were the early movers, the first mover.
Exactly. Exactly. You had the foresight. So what led to you being in real estate? Kind of take us down the path of you, who you are, and how you got here today.
Sure. Prior to being in real estate, when we were in New York, I spent about 15 years doing Latin American investment banking and sales and trading. And with that and having that background has really served me well, especially in these markets, having a background of working on a trading floor. And
Wow.
I'll get into that in a moment. So my husband and I were both real estate enthusiasts. When the market crashed in 2008, we both saw that as a great buying opportunity. And we were a little bit contrarian and started to invest in real estate throughout the country, and really became knowledgeable about the process, about what to look for, how to see value in properties. And that's what my background was, how to see value in companies and in stocks. I was on the sell side, so I had to advise my clients. And I did work on the institutional side of the business of, what IPOs to invest in, what companies that they should be looking at, how to
Wow.
look at management, who to trust, who not to trust. So a lot of that, and then being able to wheel and deal and build a book when you were doing a IPO or secondary offering, that has helped me today dealing with multiple offers, what you need to look for. So with all of that combined, and both of us having a passion in real estate, we started investing in this area, in the Bluffton and Hilton Head area, back in probably 2010, and fell in love with what we saw in the Lowcountry lifestyle, and always said this would be our 5-year, 10-year plan, or when we retire, we'll come down, because at that time, this area was primarily a big retirement area for us who were both kind of hustling on Wall Street and with a
Yeah.
child. It didn't really seem feasible at the time, but circumstances change, and I decided to leave Wall Street behind and kind of
Oh.
for different opportunities. And we looked at each other and said, why are we sitting here? We could go down to our place in South Carolina and kind of ride out the winter, and let's just do that and figure out, what the next steps are.
So what
During that,
year was that? What year was that?
actually 2013 going into 2014.
Okay.
And we decided during the time I, was spending my days, I'm an equestrian, so spending my days riding in January and February instead of, sitting inside and not being able to do that. And during that time, I said, well, if we go back to New York, I want to do real estate. That is my next step in life. So in the meantime, I decided to get my South Carolina real estate license. And with that, I never looked back. And we've been,
Wow. Wait, say that part again. The microphone went out. You said, so I never look back and,
what did I say?
oh, sorry. That's okay. So you left, so I have a question anyway, but you basically left New York
We left New
and
York. We thought we were just going to come down to South Carolina for a few months and ride out the winter, and kept looking at the temperatures back in New York and decided to stay another month. During that time, that's when I got my real estate license in South Carolina. And before I knew it, as I tell my clients, we never moved here. We never made the decision to move here. We made the decision never to leave here.
oh, interesting.
So
Yeah.
I really, I feel strongly that the Low Country, there's something in the air here that just pulls you in, and
Yeah.
an amazing lifestyle. And it's such a privilege for us to give that to our daughter to grow up in a place like this. I have a picture of
Really.
the river behind me where, we spend weekends boating down the May River. She can jump in and swim alongside a whole, pod of dolphins. It is such a wonderful lifestyle.
Oh, so what, like, look, like, think about you're in New York City, and the year before you did this, or maybe 2 years, did you ever think like this was your future?
Never.
It's crazy. So you come in, well, first of all, just for let's talk just a quick minute about like where did you grow up before you ended up in New York City, just so we can get a good
I
feel of
I
you.
grew up in Buffalo, New York, and yes, I am still a big Buffalo Bills fan.
But you even look so Southern. Are you kidding me?
I did go to the university,
Wow.
so I did spend my 4 years south of the Mason-Dixon line there.
That's what it is. That's what started it all. So now here you are in you guys lived in Bluffton because that's kind of where everybody wants to be now, as opposed to what a lot of us know. I know Hilton Head. That's what I've always heard about growing up. That's where everybody has their second home. That's where everybody goes to vacation. But looking now, as you made that transition, I think for a lot of people, there are two things I would love to learn from you is how did you break in? What was it like? What were the challenges? What were the great things about it? And then what have you learned and where are you and how have you gotten to where you are now? But let's talk about breaking into the industry.
And I think, it was interesting when I became an agent here. The majority of the agents operating in this area were a little bit older. They had been
Hmm.
for 20, 30 years, had been agents elsewhere. They came here to retire, and that was the majority of the agents, let's say early 2013, 2014, 2010. That's what you saw. I never thought I would be able to break in with some of these guys and gals who are veterans in the industry. And those were the names that you saw everywhere. And there was no way. But I decided to come in with a different approach and decided to really spend on marketing. And I think
Hmm.
that's the one thing that agents forget. A lot of new agents, especially right now, we're all seeing a lot of new agents coming into this business and, watching $1 million listing, New York, LA, whatever it may be, and seeing these big commission checks. Well, you don't just get them by getting your license and sitting in an office and waiting for the phone to call. You have to invest in yourself and invest in your brand. And by doing that, it's thinking outside the box, not just sending out the just sold postcards. I would send out little gifts and trinkets to everyone that had, we ran the tax records, million plus homes. I would send them, but little bios of me, market analysis, newsletters, everything printed and on high quality paper, not the paper that a client would, a potential client would look at and say, great, and throw it away. Or you bring it with them when they took the dog for the walk. I wanted something that stood out. And so having that type of marketing strategy and investing in that type of marketing helped me stand out. And also, one thing every agent, we all talk about farming. You can't be
Hmm.
everything to everyone. You have to pick and choose your battles. What do you know best? What do you love? What areas are you really passionate about? Spend your marketing dollars there. Don't send out a blast newsletter to 10,000 people. It's not worth it. Send something that's great to 300 people. So that's what I did. I chose my farms of the communities that I either lived in or owned property in because I knew those the best and really started from there. And then was able to build my business as the years went on.
So, as somebody who'd never been in real estate before, I mean, well, first of all, you talked about you had been with, what was it, Latin American investing and trading?
Yes, so
And
trading and investment banking.
so you transitioned from that to being a real estate agent. What did you take from that to apply, and how did you know exactly what to do? Because you pretty much nailed what you do to become successful. And I find most agents, including myself, take about a decade to figure that out.
I think the skills from it definitely was a people business. So you had your clients, my clients, because I was on the institutional side. They were the portfolio managers at the big investment funds, the big hedge funds in New York and Boston and Chicago and Miami, LA, San Francisco, Toronto, Montreal. Um, the one thing, especially in the luxury market, I think a lot of agents, and especially new agents in the luxury market, they look at the luxury buyers and are a little bit fearful. Oh, this guy has a $10 million budget. I don't know, I don't want to drive up in my, my minivan to show him properties. Um, the one thing I learned in that business, I was dealing with some very high profile fund managers. These guys took home $100 million a year in their pocket. But guess what? They still like pizza on Friday nights. They still love the New York Yankees. There is no different. They are still human beings. So you have to kind of treat everyone the same. It's nothing to be afraid of. It doesn't matter how much they have in their bank account. We all want the same things. And when they are buying a residential property, they want what's best for their families. What is going to make them happy when they wake up in the morning? Is it looking at the ocean? Is it looking at a golf course? Do they want a big kitchen to entertain their families for the holidays? Those are the important things, not what's in their bank account. So I think that was one big thing that I took from dealing with that market, and applying that to luxury residential real estate. The other thing
Wow.
that I touched on before really is building a book. We would do a lot of IPOs.
Hmm.
So, there's a lot of interest. There's a hot company coming out of Brazil, um, and everyone wants a piece of it. Well, how do you know when you're doing the book building, how to give what to whom and how to make something seem like my job was sales. We had to sell the company, sell the stuff.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
down like it was the best thing since sliced bread. So that marketing from that,
Wow, I bet.
and I see that now when, people are like, how did you get 5 offers on that house in one day? We never could have done that. Well, it's because of that and making those phone calls, on the trading desk, something would come in or you do a block trade. You would get on the phone and call everyone. Hey, I know you were interested in this a week ago. I know you were looking for something like this. I make the calls and then I
Yeah.
give the deadline. I'm probably going off on a tangent here, but how
No, you're not. This is great. Yeah.
I've handled the multiple offer situations is I list a property. I try and do most of my listings on a Thursday. Okay. So it hits MLS, it hits all the IDX feeds on a Thursday. When are most people looking at properties? Over the weekend. So
Hmm.
they'll have time to look at it. I do not accept any offers until a final cutoff, which will be Monday at 9 a.m. or Monday at 10 a.m. Then we will sit down and go through those offers. And I ask everyone to submit highest and best. And then by Monday at 5 o'clock or so, we make a decision. And that way I let the market take control of the property and let the market do its job. You've got to trust the market. Now, if we have no offers by Monday, then we may have a little problem. We may have priced it too high. It may have been a little too aggressive.
Yeah.
But instead of what I've seen in this market, I'm sure every other agent has seen it, the perfect property comes up for your client. It hits the MLS. You call that agent to go show it. I'll just do a video walkthrough. My client in Chicago would love this. I'm sorry, it's already under contract. I don't think
Yeah.
that's for sellers. So I like mine to season a little bit. Gone are the days, we all remember them, when how excited were we when you listed a property and 2 days later it went under contract and you got to send out all of the marketing under contract in 2 days.
Right.
I tell agents now, I don't need a gold medal for that. Anyone can put a property under contract in one day. I want to get the highest price for my sellers and the best deal for them, which sometimes may not be the highest price. It may be the best terms. So
Exactly. As buyers, remember that. I think buyers forget that as well. Like you, you don't dictate what you dictate your own terms, but not what the seller's best terms are. What's best for the seller? Asking the right questions. I love that. So number one, I love how you talked about being a successful agent was investing, choosing your client, knowing your business, and remembering your clients, especially in luxury. Oh, by the way, they're people too. And then you wrap that into what you do to build your business is in building your business, the steps are again, remembering your clients are people too. And then the other thing is building the book. So you build the book when companies are going to IPO to sell a company, but you're also building the book for the listings, which we want to know more about that. And I say we, as in I know everybody listening to this will want to know more about that. And I bet you might build a book for yourself and your team too. Tell us a little bit first, though. I'd love to hear how to correlate. Are there any like specific measures or template for building your book out for your listings? And how does that correlate to what you did for going IPO for selling businesses?
good old Excel. We all,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I will have, agents that have inquired about properties in certain areas on previous listings of mine. When I have a new listing coming up in that area, I will try and reach out to them and give them a heads up. And I have this recorded, and trying to stay organized, which is impossible for all of us because we're all running in 20 different directions at any given moment. But really use good old Excel. That's what I did
yeah,
years ago, and that's what I do today. My clients will go first, of course. That's the beauty of being a listing agent is you're getting a listing. I won't write an offer on that listing for my clients until we go active. And I will keep that in a pile because I want the best for my seller, even though I may have the buyer as well, but we have to put it all together.
yeah,
But and the other thing too, and we'll probably talk about it, is how many off-market deals are going on right now. So you
yeah,
have to just be organized in terms of who would be interested in this property, market it properly, and let it season a few days. Do an open house within those 3 days. That's one thing we try and do. And even if you may have 100 people showing up at the open house, you may have 5. I don't care if there's 5 people there. If there are 5 people there ready to buy, that's all I need. So
We won, right? Yeah.
right, it also lets you market the property and send out the email to the MLS, the social media on it. You have to have an event. You know what I'm saying? Event
Yeah.
just listed, the open house, the under contract, because that contract may fall apart. You have to have those events as part of a listing. And I think we may have spoken about this before. Get as many people through the door as possible. That is
We Yeah, and we actually talked about that before we started recording. We were having way too much fun. We should have started recording sooner. But in speaking to that, so a few things. The marketing the property, the key components are getting the timing, going through the process, and letting the market, making sure you get the best price for the market. You can't control, what is this quote I've been using a lot lately? You can control your actions, and your actions control the outcome. So what are the actions that are going to dictate the best outcome? And doing those, which you talked about, making sure you get your book of business, making sure you get the word out, making sure you position it in the right way, making sure you have that active date, making sure you have that open house date, and making sure you give that deadline and you have the plan of action if nothing happens after that. Next, open houses. So, wait, say that again.
my favorite.
So you are really good at those. Tell us a little bit about that.
Great at them. I think I watch too much Bravo, and always have been inspired by, the big flashy open houses that you see on $1 Million Listing.
Yeah.
No one really did that around here. So Alison Melton decided to bring that to the Lowcountry. So one of the things that I've always thought about, if you just do a regular broker open, then people will come, win a, $25 gift card to the car wash. May not
That
make
sounds good.
leave my office to go see that property unless it's specific for a buyer that I'm working with. But what does attract people? Food, alcohol, and a really good venue. So with some of my luxury listings, I have done the full catered, cocktail hour, past hors d'oeuvres. I mean, waiters in their black tie passing things out, someone playing a piano, making them more of like a party. They are pretty much legendary, but we get 60 to 70 different agents coming through. And just in perspective, our MLS has about 1,600 agents.
Wow.
So we always get a very good turnout. And then what happens is people start talking about the property. People are taking pictures of the property, posting them on social media. That's what gets the word out. So I do that every time I do a broker open for a luxury listing like this. Again, I will do them on Thursday evenings between 4 and 6 or 4 and 7. So it's kind of the kickoff to the weekend. Usually people
So smart. Yeah.
bring your spouse, bring your assistant, bring whomever you would like to bring a client with you. It's not just for brokers. So I love doing that. And usually when I do that, the property is a very talked about property and it sells.
And I'm going to say, do you have any stories? For example, I know you had a recent one that had like 3 showings. You had brought 2 of the buyers. This is before you were hired as the agent. Then you were hired as the agent and then brought in 60 people right after. Tell us
Correct.
about that.
And everyone, even the sellers, people on the golf course would tell them, that's priced too high. That house is too unique for here. It will never sell. I don't like the location. You guys went overboard with this. You're never going to get that price. So they listed it with another agent first, and they only had 3 showings over 6 months. Now, granted, this was the beginning of COVID. It was listed in early February and their listing expired in August. Although I don't know about you. I maybe had 2 weeks off last March when the first lockdown first started. And I was out showing that last week of March with gloves and masks on because that's when it started to pick up again. And it has been nonstop since then. Um, so they finally called me and said, hey, listen, out of those 3 buyers that came through, the business cards, 2 were with your guys. You guys showed the house, so you know it, and interviewed for the listing. As soon as I got the listing, I did one of my big cocktail parties there, which was a beautiful evening and everyone loved it. Out of all those agents that came, we had over about 60 agents show up. None of them had ever seen the house. They didn't even know that that house existed in there and how phenomenal it was. And then a few weeks later, yeah, the house was talked about a lot. We found a buyer who was a cash buyer who wanted to close in 10 days right before Thanksgiving. We had to push it out a little bit just to accommodate movers, but it worked out extremely well for my sellers, and they were just impressed at, how everyone started talking about their home. And we got the number they wanted and sold them other things in the house. So it even exceeded their original asking price.
Nice. I mean, what a great example. I think so many times agents just think we're just agents. We just have a license so we can be the pencil pusher to get this through. And the little things you can do that make such a drastic difference in the outcome for your clients know, by the way, your career.
Exactly. And that's what I always believe. Just try and go the extra step for your clients. They'll appreciate it. Yeah, it's
And it'll make a difference.
the little touches that can make or break a deal. And the one thing that we're seeing now, one of the ladies on my team, she said last week alone, she had 4 different calls that were all referral calls from past clients of people looking to move to the area that they have been told there's only one agent to use and it's her and it's our team. So
Wow.
seeing those things happen, that's when you know you're doing something right.
And what you just said, just to restate the quote for everybody, it's the little things that can make or break a deal. I mean, like wrap it in a bow. That's it right there.
The
I always say it to my team, guys, it's the little things, the smallest gestures and the smallest details can make or break the biggest deals for our clients and for our team. What for you, are there any things that come to mind when you say that? Like, what are the smallest gestures that can make the biggest differences, or gestures, details, whatever it is, or might be?
one thing working with buyers, because I'm both a listing agent, but I do work with buyers as well. And I'm a firm believer you cannot just brand yourself as a listing agent or a buyer's agent, or for a lot of people I know say, I'm just a listing agent. How can you just be a listing agent when you don't know what the buyers want? So that's why I always like to work with both sides. With buyers, and it's different in every area. We're a unique area that people are coming here. They don't necessarily know which community they want to live in. They just know they want to be here. So when we are showing them properties, especially that first trip to the Lowcountry, do they want to be in Bluffton? Do they want to be in Hilton Head? Do they want to be in a golf community with higher fees? Or do they want to be in a gated community that's more a la carte? Do they not want to be in a gated community? Do they want something on the river, something on the ocean? So in fact, we act as tour guides a lot of the time. In this market, we are always happy to be a tour guide, but by God, you better have that proof of funds or or pre-approval in your hand in order for us to do it, just because we don't have the luxury of time and we don't want to waste sellers' time, the time of sellers,
Well,
no properties without that.
and who you commit yourselves to is what you commit to your clients. Like if you're going to commit your time, commit it, make sure that it's committed to actual clients. Otherwise, you're taking it away from clients.
And so we tell them, the one thing that we always do, our team, we'll meet the clients in our office in the morning, sit down, have a coffee with them, kind of go through what they exactly are looking for, their likes or dislikes, what sort of amenities they're looking for, the lifestyle, because in this area, we don't sell homes, we sell lifestyles.
Mm-hmm.
So once we have all of that figured out, and basically this conversation we've already had those conversations, but this is just to reiterate it. Then we go through the day. We spend the day showing the communities. We are walking around tennis courts with them. We are walking golf courses with them. We are walking on the beach with them. The one thing a lot of people forget, please take your clients to lunch. Please feed them. Sometimes they
Mm,
say no, but we always take them. We've got our go-to restaurants that I know will sell them on the area, and take them to lunch and kind of
the
rehash
experience.
the day. Again, now is a little bit different because the clients aren't in the cars with us due to COVID. But I would always bring a cooler in my car. It is hot down here, girl. I need cold water. I need, juice. If the kids are, little
Yeah,
juice packs for them in the morning, having the cold Starbucks. Having something. So as we're going around and sometimes we're looking at 10 homes back to back, doing that. And then continuing on for the afternoon, pointing out, here's the Coastal Carolina Center for the Arts. This is where they're building the new culinary school. Down here is where the boat launch is. Showing that, again, showing the community, just giving them the full experience, I think really makes a difference.
yeah, thinking ahead for them. It's kind of like that Ritz-Carlton motto. It's seeing when you see someone spill the drink, you run over, you don't just clean up the mess, you run over and make sure give them the napkin, give them what they need and take care of it. All right, so to that, being able to do all these things and serve so well, clearly you've got to have a good team and you've got to have the infrastructure to not just think ahead, but act on it. Tell us a little bit about the setup of your team.
Sure. So we're, again, very fortunate that number one, the way that Charter One, the brokerage, is set up, we as agents, we have our team that our Charter One staff, we have a dedicated listing coordinator, closing coordinator, and marketing coordinator with,
Wow.
and they're all excellent. They've been doing it for a while and they can do this job in their sleep. Any questions we have, they've probably answered them before we even get a chance to ask them. They have all of us on task reminders. We know when things are due. They are phenomenal. Within our team, I have two buyer's agents that work with me. And I also have a client services concierge, which is a great role.
Nice.
And we would probably be lost without her. She's the one who is doing things from everything from when leads come in saying, we're planning a trip to the area October 1st to the 5th. We'd like to, we're interested in this community. Before I'm calling them and I'm out showing, I can't call them right away. I will forward that to her. She picks up the phone and calls them and she sends them an introductory email. She then finds out from them, what exactly are they looking for? What are their lifestyle goals? What is their price point? If they want to stay, a lot of the communities offer discovery packages or, stay in plays where you stay in a golf cottage and you play golf and play tennis and go to the spa and go on a boat cruise. She will organize all of that for these clients. She will organize
Wow.
for them out while they're here, give them suggestions on where to go. And the reason we give that to her first is we want that relationship with her to start from day one. So they're comfortable asking her questions. Once we get all the information and they may have inquired about one community, but they're probably better sorted for something else, she passes that to one of us. So we kind of go on a rotating basis of who gets that lead, but we get that lead in a package versus a random Zillow lead. Hi, this is Joe. I want to go look at 123 Main Street. Okay, what time? We want
Yeah.
more that the way we run our business is that we're working with the right clients. None of us have time to kind of chase our tails in this market. So by doing that, we remove, it's kind of almost like an inside sales, but she's not selling real estate. She's gathering information. So other things she does then on the flip side, when it comes time to closing, and this is one of my favorite roles because again, as agents, we get really busy sometimes. We work together to figure out what's the perfect closing gift for this client. Who are they? What would they appreciate? She will do that. She will order the closing gift. She will help me deliver it. She will, at the time of closing, will sneak in. And especially for, it depends on the side, but especially for buyers, sneak into the houses before, as soon as we get the keys, before we give the keys to the buyers, we'll put a case or two of water in their fridge. Who doesn't need
Yeah.
water when they're moving in, or to give it to your movers? We'll put in a bottle of champagne or nice, bourbon or tequila, and a closing gift and a nice card. She does a lot of that for us. And then she does the follow-up, the thank you for using the Melton Group. Here's the link for the Zillow reviews. Please let us know. Here's a list we have put together. We've called it, we need a better name for it, but kind of the Bluffton Guide. Here's a list of our service providers that we have used and we like.
Wow.
Painters, handymen, cleaning crews, private chefs. Who do you go? Hair salons, nail salons. Who to go to when you need a new tire. So all of those service providers, we have that list, and we send that to our especially the buyers who are relocating to the area to use.
So what she does is she makes sure your clients and your team's clients have an amazing experience. So the real estate agents can actually be focused on the information, the negotiating, the getting them in the properties, doing the things that get them the results, but making sure the experience is smooth and comfortable and pleasant, enjoyable, fabulous.
So, we deal with the hard stuff, and she gets to deal with all of the fun stuff.
Depends on who you're asking that. All right. So now we've got our final three. Now, what did you just say?
I said it's been a huge asset to have her.
That's incredible. Like that last 5 or 10 minutes of our conversation, I was literally thinking, our editor, I was like, Rokon is going to record that right now and play it out to all of the admins on our team, because that is like essential. It's the way you've thought through and ahead of that, so you can really serve your client at what you're good at and make sure they're well taken care of. Last, final 3 questions. So are you ready for the first one? No, I'm kidding. It's like a game show host. All right, so question number 1 is, what do you think has been your biggest resource in your success as a real estate agent, or your just success in general?
My car. And I'll tell you why. Well, I love my car, but because I explore. Okay. You can't just sit at home and not understand these communities. We are a very specific area. The majority of Hilton Head and Bluffton are gated communities. They all have their own personalities. If you don't know them, like the back of your hand, you cannot serve your clients. So that is my biggest resource. When I first started out in the business, I didn't have listings, I didn't have clients, but I had my car. So I would wake up on Monday and say, Monday, I'm going to explore Palmetto Dunes. Tuesday, I'm going to explore Sea Pines. Oh, what's this area? I didn't know this Calabogie Key area existed back here. Wednesday, I'm going to explore Hilton Head Plantation. What's this gated little island within Hilton Head Plantation? Wait, there's a beach back here? Exploring Oldfield, exploring Rose Hill. All of these communities have such nuances that you have to know that. So when that client calls you and says, I'm looking for a property, I'd like to be, I want to get up in the morning and walk to the beach, but my budget's $500,000. You probably think it's never going to happen. Well, it is, because I know exactly where to put them now. And I can give 5 different communities and 5 different types of properties that they could look at. That, I think, is your biggest resource. Know your market, know the communities, because not everyone is going to fit into what they're calling you about on the buyer side. So that really, to this day, all new agents don't think, well, I'm going to specialize, in oceanfront and Sea Pines. Yes, everyone would love to do that. Everyone would love to sell a portfolio of $8 to $10 million homes all year long. That's not the case. And unless you're ready to refer that client out, to someone else and lose that sale, work with them. A number of my buyers who have started out in the area, that we just want a small investment property. We're only going to be there maybe 2 weeks a year. We don't want to spend more than $300,000. If I turn that client away because the price point, or we don't need to be in the ocean, we don't need to be in one of these communities. If I turn them away today, guess what? 5 years later, that same client is coming back to me, and this has happened, that have turned around and said, hey, we're going to be in town. We're thinking of relocating there. Can we look at that $4 million property that was just listed over in Palmetto Bluff? Sure.
Yeah, build your business.
Build your business, but know your market. Know where to put your clients. And maybe I'm saying that wrong, and there's probably some violence saying that, but it's more know where the lifestyle and the amenities, places that will make your clients happy within their price points, so you have options to give them.
So what you're saying is if you know your business, build your business, and serve your client, you'll a lot less often say that your client's expectations are unreasonable, because number one, you'll know where they are, and number two, with the knowledge you have, if they are, your client will be confident to listen and let you guide them, which makes your job easy and makes you very successful. Okay, so question number 2, is there a book that you've read that's changed your career and or life that we just got to read?
Yes. Exactly What to Say.
Exactly What to Say, and who's the author?
It's actually, there's 3 authors on it.
Oh, wow.
There are 3 authors, and I will get them to you. It's Joan, Smith, and Mackin. And Jimmy Mackin.
So what was your big takeaway from that book?
I mean, it really is. It's how to convince basically anyone to do anything for you.
Oh, no. Oh, is that could be dangerous.
It could be dangerous, but really it's working with, it's how to win listings, how to get buyers to, or maybe I'll wait, I don't know, how to get them over the edge and how to get them to make a decision. And it really does teach you how to be a little bit more polished in the way that you ask for it. We all have to ask for a lot in this business. And I think that's one thing, especially new agents are afraid to do, afraid to ask. But somehow, one of the things they talk about, you don't have to come out to say to your neighbor, so you want to sell your house?
Right.
They're up in Virginia now, aren't they? Oh, and the grandbabies. Oh, you must miss them. Wouldn't it be nice if you could see them a little bit more often? And then you kind of guide people into them making their own decision, getting the same result that you wanted from the beginning, because your buyer is driven by that house 10 times, would love to buy it, and you can put the deal together. But again, just be a little bit more polished in how you present the question.
I love it. I've got a subtitle, exactly what to say. Is it exactly what to say or what to ask? Exactly what to say. So your mic is cutting out when I'm talking. But she said, everybody, it's exactly what to say. Subtitle, to help people get exactly what they want. Just saying. All right. Now, wait, say that again.
Said exactly.
So now something news with the microphone and it's cutting you out. Okay, so last but not least, from our conversation today, if we are going to eventually forget everything, what is the one thing you would hope we'd remember and take away from our interview conversation?
It's the little things that matter. And don't forget that with your clients. Buyers and sellers, remember these things. So the extra stuff help them, whether it's investigating a deed from 1970 on Hilton Head on a piece of land at 11:30 at night with them, to making sure they have a bottle of their favorite bourbon on their move-in day. It's those little things, hear what they say, work extra hard for them, and they'll never forget it.
Wow, Alison, amazing interview. Thank you so much. I can't wait to share this. Everybody, this is Alison Melton, Bluffton and Hilton Head in South Carolina. But thank you again.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully we can do this again soon.
I hope so.
Thanks for listening to the Jere Metcalf podcast, where top real estate agents tell how they do it. If you like this episode, please share it with friends. To find more episodes, search Jere Metcalf Podcast on any platform for podcasts, or go to JereMetcalfPodcast.com. That's JereMetcalf JMPodcast.com.